our midst. Amen. Come on, let's give it up for God. Amen. I'm just going to let you jump off into it. You can whatever direction that you want to go. Amen. Again, as I mentioned to Brother Grant, you are among friends. Amen. So, amen again, Dr. John.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh man, it's amazing. I was an honor to be here. I want to say that first of all, but this morning. But I want to jump in. I want to looking at this lady right here. This is my grandmother Eunice, and when it gets hot outside, I like watermelon. I'm from North Carolina. We used to sit outside in a carport, and we used to eat watermelon as kids, and flies would come around on these hot summer days, and we would get frustrated because the flies would try to get on our watermelon as kids. And my grandmother sat over there, this lady, Miss Eunice, she sat there, she kept a fly swatter. And she would just swat. And she used to say to me, baby, in order to get the job done, you need the right tools. Right. And so this morning, I want to give you some tools so that you can continue your mission that God has given you. Is that all right? Amen. So in the next about 15 minutes today, or for 20 minutes or so, I'm just going to share stuff to help along your journey, okay? And so we're looking at this right here. I want to start out with Romans 12:1, actually. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. So one of the key words I want to point out to this is living sacrifices, not dead ones. Not dead ones, guys. Hallelujah. And so what I want to share with you today is that we've been doing stuff that's actually killing us slowly. And so the first thing that we look at right here is that when we jump into this, this is a discussion, by the way, so I want some feedback. What is a decision? By raising anybody. Choices. It's a choice you make, right? And then what is a consequence? The result of the choice you make. A lot of times what we do is we actually let our decisions become more important than the consequences. So I want you to hear that. So we all know if you don't obey the 10 Commandments, the consequences is what? Hell. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So there's certain things that we do in our daily lives that we don't obey the consequences of the body. And what that can lead to is death. Mm-hmm. And so when we look at these things right here, never let a decision become more important than a consequence. Yeah. As a leader, how many of y'all got families? You got that depend on you. Like you're the sole income. They depend. You got children that look up to you. If something happened to you right now, what will happen? There's no life insurance policy can replace you. Number one. If something happened to you right now, what can happen? So we got to really start making better decisions so we can get better consequences. You follow me? And so when we look at these things right here, the first one we got to look at is we got to look at the food we eat. Woo! We see some pies. We got some Portillo stuff. We got all these different things that we drive by all the time. And one of the things that I see what pastors they do is they preach and then they eat. Wow, that just resonates with some of everybody in here. So what it is I want to talk about, number one, the short-term consequences. If I sit down and I eat this after you just got finished preaching a long Sunday, maybe a couple of services, what will be the short-term consequence? You get sleepy. What else? What else? What about a spike in the blood sugar? Might go up. Blood pressure might go up a little. Might have a headache. Right? Might have some acid reflux. These are the consequences of the decision that we made. Right? So what about long-term? What if we do that every Sunday and maybe even 5 days a week for about 10 years? What's the long-term consequence of that? Well, no. Let's be real. Like, what's the long-term consequence to that? A permanent sickness. Like, you can get high blood pressure, get diabetes, possibly even have a stroke, obesity, impotency, cancer. These are a lot of things that people don't talk about, is that we're doing this stuff slowly because we're in the world but not of the world. And the culture is constantly changing so rapidly. And we got all these things in front of us. But God has given us food that we can grow in dirt, that we can plant stuff in to grow the right kind of source of food. So the solution to that, number one, is that we got to eat better. What you eat is just as important as when you eat. Wow. Wow. So sometimes you get so busy that you forget to eat. Sometimes you eat right before you lay down, which is the worst time to eat. So one of the things you got to look at is we want to try to shoot for 3 lighter meals a day, smaller portion sizes, guys. I mean, I don't want to overwhelm you information. This is stuff you already know, but I'm just making it there. But one of the things we got to look at, we got to eat smaller portion sizes. So when you talk about a size of a meat, it should be no bigger than the size of the palm of your hand or your fist. That 42-ounce steak, medium, the juice still coming out. That stuff is going to actually make you sicker over the course of those things. So that's the decision to eat that. But the consequences of repeatedly doing that is ultimately going to be death. Now we got drinking half of your weight in body ounces. Half of your weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 200 pounds, how much water should you drink? 100. Wow, that sounds like a lot. So I'm already on the second one of these today. Wow. It's water. And if you don't like water, you can change the flavor. You put some cucumbers in it, you put some lemons in it, you can put some strawberries in it, you can put some mint in it. I mean, you can get really creative. You get really creative with these things. Cut processed foods. Number one thing that's going to kill us is processed foods. That's your bacon. Some of you still eat bologna. Some of these things right here. I mean, I grew up off that stuff with the red ring around it. Yeah. Everybody that I knew was eating that has gotten high blood pressure, diabetes. They got so many health issues because they continue to eat it. Increase your fiber, gentlemen. Fiber. Constipation, cholesterol. That can help with a lot of those different things. Just increase the fiber. And what is fiber? Fiber is stuff that your body can't break down, so it's going to pass through your system. So that's where you get into dark green leafy vegetables. Whole grains sometimes have it, but you got to limit those. And also see our nutritionist. If you don't know or you're completely clueless, you need to see a nutritionist. You need to get professional help. Because a lot of people can make themselves sick trying to be Google doctors, trying to self-medicate themselves. And we're fortunate enough to have one here this morning. So out of compassion, like, one of the things that I was listening to is I listened to Miles Monroe a lot. And one of the things he was talking about is when he first went to Germany and then he got to drive on the Autobahn. He was so conditioned to driving at 55, 60, maybe pushing 80 every now and then on the highway, that the Autobahn, if you know anything about Germany, it's wide open. You know, you got cars coming past, you could be going 220, right? So when the guy said, "You want to drive?" He said, "Yes, man, I'm so excited. I want to drive on the Autobahn." And so when he got in the car, and he was like, man, he said he got up to 90, he was feeling good. And the guy said, "Man, you just warming the car off," right? Then he got up to 150, his heart started beating. He was racing. He was completely out of his comfort zone. Then he got up to 200, he had to just completely let go. See, that's the way the culture has us, the way we eat. It's got you staying in a zone to the point where you're scared to step out of it. Should I try raw? Should I try vegetarian? Should I try vegan? Should I try the paleo diet? It's so many different things out there. So many different things out there. If we cut less time on social media and different things right here and start studying our bodies, studying what to put in our bodies, there's no excuse no more, gentlemen and ladies. There's no excuse no more. And what it is the consequences of those of eating healthy is you're going to feel better. You'll sleep better. Amen. Blood sugar level might be better. Right? You'll lose weight. Amen. Unnecessary weight. And then so many other benefits that I can go on and on about it. So the next one we got is exercise. Wow. I didn't say French fries. I said exercise. Right? So when we look at these different things right here, we got to say, like, man, do I don't exercise, number one, or I exercise but I'm not consistent, number two, or I exercise but I'm just going through the motions. I don't push myself enough. So what I find in my professional opinion is people fall in one of those 3 categories. Listen, some of you, how many are over 50? Over 50 in the room, right? Your best days are still ahead of you. Your best days are still ahead of you. Just because you might not be able to run a 4-minute mile, but you should keep trying. And even if you fall, you get back up. And that's the same thing it is with exercise. You start every day as a fresh new start. Push yourself. So, short-term consequence of not exercising. What's the consequence? If you don't exercise, what's going to happen? You get tired, you get winded when you go up the steps. That's a short-term effect. What about not sleeping properly? What about your digestion not going right? You wonder why I got past 50, I got past 40, I started getting constipated. I started having different things because stuff is not moving the way that it should. Short-term effect also could be weight gain. Right? You start getting, and then some of us have fat in between the organs that we don't see. That's the visceral fat. That's the deadly kind, man. That's the kind that can slow your processes down in your body and you don't know what's going on. So when you look at these things right here, the long-term effect of not exercising could be what? It's feedback. What's a long-term effect? Early death. You can have a stroke or heart attack. The human body was designed to move. And some of the healthiest people that I know, they still move. They get their heart rate up. They walk. And I'm not talking about walking, to work. Getting off the train, going to Larry's, walking to work real fast. You got your heart rate up, and you go and you sit in the desk for 8 hours, and then you go back and you walk to the train, right?
Talk to me.
It could be high blood pressure. It could be a lot of different things. So one of the things we got to do is that we got to start thinking about the consequences of the decisions that we make. So if you're not exercising, the number one thing that you can do that's free is exercise. You don't even need shoes. All you need is an open space that's the same height as you are. And the way the weather is right now, you just go outside. So one of the things it is, the solution for that is at least 6 days a week, 30 minutes of cardio. 30 minutes of exercise, period. And it doesn't always have to be cardio. I think there's 3 different types of way that we should exercise. And most people don't really do, they do one or the other, or some people do both. But number one is weight training. Guys, as we get older, our bones get weaker. As we get older, we lose strength, and gravity starts to take over. And when that happens, what happens? That bowling ball starts to go forward. And when that bowling ball starts to go forward, our body starts to collapse. Next thing you know, you're leaning on something. You're walking on something. Right? Now you winded enough where you can't even, you're not strong enough to where you can actually stand up and praise. I was sitting in the back of the room and we were worshiping, which was amazing. And the brother with the voice, man, it resonated with my spirit. But one of the things that I kept noticing is people slowly kept sitting down. Right? It slowly kept sitting down because the endurance wasn't there. You got to endure the race. Like, you got to really train for this thing. Even if you're 60, 70, 80, you still got to endure it. You still got to push through. And that's where that cardio comes in. It was amazing. I watched Pastor Hige sit back, and he was just still. I mean, he could have went all day, I could tell. But I saw they were pulling the seat back, sliding down. Next thing you know, brother sitting there. I was like, man, it's a typical thing. You see it happening, right? Some of my own team sat down. We got to talk about that, okay? We got to also, the one that we forget the most, number one, is the mobility training. Yeah. And what that is that stretching. The older you get, the more you need to stretch. Guys, and I'm talking about, I was watching Pastor Free, he was just moving around, and he was doing some kind of form of stretching and worship at the same time. It was just a beautiful thing. But we got to stretch. You got an older model car, you just can't get in and drive it. I talk to guys that are 70 and they have a routine and 80, and it's like 30 minutes of stretching just to get out of the bed and get moving because the joints are starting to stiffen up because they've lost their strength. The cardio isn't there. And the cardio is where you're not just walking and talking, but it can be simply getting your heart rate up, letting it go down, walking up hills, walking down the hill, riding a bike. Just getting out doing jumping jacks, doing push-ups. You don't need a gym. You can do weighted exercise. You can do simple squats in place. And you might not be able to do it all at one time, but if you keep working at it, you will develop that muscle to be able to sustain that. You follow me? So if we go to the next thing here, is sleep and rest. It's interesting. I was doing research. I was looking at, I didn't know the statistics were as high as they were for pastors. Wow. Like, that actually have to take sabbaticals due to physical issues that they can't even conform, because you're pulled in so many directions. You're sleep deprived, overwhelmed. You know, and who suffers? Your family. Your family. Now, if we go back to the decision and the consequence again, so if I decide to continue to not sleeping a full amount of time that is required for me to sleep, what will be the consequence? What will be the consequence of that? Dysfunction, mental fogginess. You got lack of clarity in your thinking, lack of clarity in judgment, right? Now, what about irritability? How many of y'all married? Right? How many of you know you're tired and your wife wants to talk? Am I the only person? You're tired, your wife wants to talk. You're irritable because you know you didn't get enough sleep the night before or the last past week, and then you get irritable, and then somebody's mad at the end of that conversation, right? So one of these things that we got to do, guys, is we got to really start getting the right amount of sleep. Sleep is so important. It's probably the most overrated thing that we do. It's because that's when your body replenishes itself. You know, one of the things too that we have to learn how to do is say no. Ooh, the most powerful word is no. You know, a lot of times I see, and I was thinking about pastors, and I was thinking about, like, if they sat down and everybody said, can you be at this function? Can you come to this function? Can you come by the hospital and pray for Sister So-and-so? You know, there's certain stuff God has called you to do, but if you don't take care of you first, you're not going to be able to take care of all the other people. You understand what I'm saying? And that's a very powerful thing. So the Bible says, you know, love yourself as you love thy neighbor. But you got to love yourself first. And you got to love yourself enough to get the right amount of rest. So if we go into that right there, the long-term effects of sleep, of that, or consequences of lack of sleep, things like depression. That's stuff that we don't talk about. And the majority of people here are African American. We don't even talk about the African American community. Yeah. Depression. Where you just feel stuck and you're not moving the way that you should. And that's a result of not getting the right amount of rest. It's overwhelming your system. Now the other thing it could lead to is high blood pressure. People wonder why, man, I work out, doc. You know, I eat right, but I got high blood pressure. It's something you're not doing. Wow. You're not getting the right amount of rest. Woo! You have to rest. You have to rest. We all understand the importance of the Sabbath day. Right? And there's arguments on what day that actually was. I was looking at different things. But, you know, we celebrate it sometimes on Sunday, some pastors on Monday, where they rest, and different people do different things. But the thing about it is you need to take a day of rest. To where you sleep. You turn it off. So what happens is people say, you know, I'm going to go to sleep, right? And then they get into bed and you can't go to sleep. First step is, number one, I want to talk about a solution to that, is you got to prepare for sleep. You wake up like this squirrel, right? Animals wake up and they're like, man, let's go. I want to turn on the world, right? I got to do some big things today. So what happens is we have to prepare for sleep. And I went through this whole about myself. So I'm talking to myself, guys. It's real. And it takes a real man to open up and be honest with you about a lot of these different topics, but we need more of that. And so when you look at these different things right here, we're preparing for sleep. 30 minutes before you go to bed, no electronics, no TV. No TV. Right? You can listen to something, you can read something, you know, but you need to learn how to shut the brain down. Because a lot of times it keeps moving and moving and moving. You got new ideas and thoughts, and you're excited, but you got to learn how to turn it off and prepare your body for rest. One of the things that I say doing that is to take a hot shower or a bath. You gotta learn how to just relax those muscles in the body, and then you actually learn how to talk and read and those different things. Also, too, if you're tired, what does that mean? You're not getting enough sleep. You need to take a nap. Nap is one of the most powerful things. And I'm not talking about a lazy man nap after you ate Portillo's. I'm talking about a nap for about 5 to 10 minutes to where you get a power nap and you recharge. I want everybody in here to start taking steps to moving avoiding caffeine. Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, all these different things right here. Caffeine is a stimulant. And all you're going to do is you're going to crash afterwards. You have these glands that sit on your kidneys called adrenals. And what happens if you keep pushing those adrenal glands, your body's going to shut down. And what happens in that point is going to lower your immune system and you end up getting sick. Thank you, sir. Thank you. One of the other things, too, is you got to take care of self-care. You got to take care of your body. And I always recommend a scheduled massage. Take an hour, 2 hours, and just shut it all off and just take care of you. Just love you. Take care of your body. Read, do something to open the word up, to go get you a massage, then study the word again, and then maybe even get a pedicure every now and then. Get some of these nails, these toenails cut. Y'all cut out the sheets, right? You gotta get some of this stuff done. Take care of your bodies, guys. Take care of your body. Self-care is most important, and you do that by sleeping and resting and pampering yourself every now and then. Don't think that that's not manly. Don't think that's not manly. It is. I mean, some of the most important people do that. Now, if we look at this right here, the most important thing of what I'm talking about and why a lot of people don't pay attention is spinal hygiene. Now, this is my specialty. I'm not a sleepologist. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a massage therapist. I'm a chiropractor by trade. And in my profession, in my opinion, chiropractic is the most spiritual profession it is. Because of the simple fact, we deal with stuff that you can't see. Wow, right? As a result of that, this is what happens. We have a lack of education and our lifestyles are constantly changing. I remember and I'm 42 years old. I got up, when I graduated from college, I didn't even have a cell phone. I think they had pagers back then. So when they had those different things, I can look across the room now, the majority of people got some kind of smartphone or iPad, and what's happening is their head is starting to go forward. And what happens in that point is it's actually starting to choke that life cord off. So, based off our health, the other bad problem too is that we base our health on how we feel. How many of you feel good? I know so many people that felt great and got diagnosed with cancer. Didn't even know they had it in their body. How many people walked out of the doctor's office, got a clean bill of health? They said, my blood work was good. Doctor said, I'm good. I feel good. And they dropped dead of a heart attack. Because of the part is we measure our body on how we feel, not how we function. Functional medicine is becoming a new thing now because people are measuring how your body's functioning. And that's what I want to talk about today. So the short-term consequence of not taking care of your spine is maybe an ache or a twist right here. How you sleep, if you sleep on your stomach, which rolls into this thing right here, if you sleep on your stomach and that head is twisted, you wake up and you're like, man, I got a kink in my neck or something, right? Those are like short-term things. I might have a numbness and tingling, it might come down, I might have a muscle to tighten up, might have all these other things. Now, some of the other short-term effects could be headaches. It could be acid reflux, to the point where the food is sitting right here because my posture's off. Some of the other things could be diverticulosis. It could be where your bowel, stuff gets stuck in the colon. Now, some of the long-term effects could be pain. Let me tell you this, the way your body works is pain is the last thing to show up and the first thing to go away. And what we do is we spend our time avoiding pain and chasing pain that we don't focus on the function. 90% of your nervous system is all about function. Only 10% of it is about pain. And those are nociceptors that actually perceive pain in the body, if we want to get specific on it. So we look at these things right here. This right here looks like it hurts, right? If we go back to this picture right here where this guy's just shifted over to the side. I can't get him to move. But what he does, he's shifting over to the side. That doesn't look like it's going to hurt. But what happens if he shifts over to the side like this, we actually see that. And that looks like, man, that could be uncomfortable. Some people are walking around here right now with their spines looking like that. And they don't even know it. And what the problem with that is it's going to cause arthritis and degeneration. Now, if you got how many of you drove here? You got a car, right? Now, if you drive and you got a car, and what happens in that car, if your wheels are out of alignment, you're not going to get that many miles out of the tires because you're going to wear them down faster. It's the same thing. If your spine is in a line, you're going to put pressure on it. The way your body works is this. The brain. So we all understand. How many got kids? Right? You understand how babies are made, right? So we don't have to go through that lesson. So the number one thing that happens from that point is the very first organ developed in the body is what? What's the first organ developed in the body? Heart. No. The brain. The brain, and then off of the brain we get the spinal cord, and then we got extensions off the spinal cord called spinal nerves that go to every single function in our body. They go to everything. The upper back, the neck, the shoulders, the metabolism, the arms, the feet, the alignment, the intestines, the backbones, all the way down to the toes. Those nerves go to. Now, if we do different things to where the vertebrae shifts, like we're sitting in front of our iPads and we're taking notes and we're doing all these different things, we're walking, we're lifting stuff. Now we got to move all these boxes, we got to move chairs back and forth, all these different things. It can cause a shift in the vertebrae. That shift is like a dimmer switch. We call it a subluxation. And that subluxation actually dimmers the nerves and the messages that get sent to those muscles. And so they get weak. They start to degenerate and they cause problems. The problem is if it stays like that for a long time, you still don't even feel it. Right? Now what happens is it distorts the posture. So when I look at you, number one, the nose should be in line with the sternum. Sternum should be in line with the pubic symphysis, and it would be like this. But if you're standing like this, I was watching everybody. Some people walking in. You got some guys, their head should be in line with the shoulder should be in line with the head. But if I'm walking around like this, there's no way that I'm going to be 100% healthy. Because I'm putting pressure on these nerves to actually supply all these vital organs. What the culture is saying, and what everybody's saying, is that we need to actually go to the medical doctor. And what the medical doctor is going to do is they're going to write you a prescription 9 times out of 10. You got high blood pressure. Guess what? You got high blood pressure and you go take high blood pressure medicine, you still got high blood pressure. Do you know that? Yeah. So we have to create change. Now, I'm from North Carolina, and I always say this again. What they do in North Carolina a lot, I don't see them do it here, is they start these things called controlled burns. Right? What's a controlled burn?
Forest fire.
It's where they start and they burn a line and it burns a field. And what does that do? What? No, it kind of in a big fire it does, but what it does in an open field is it stimulates new growth. It actually changes the atmosphere of the ground so that new grass can come in and grow. So what I'm here to tell you today is that God has some controlled burns in your life that you need to pay attention to. Right? You can't keep sticking your hand in the fire and get burned. The ultimate consequence of that is death. You understand what I'm saying? So what happens is we got controlled burns that actually cause us to change. Whatever that controlled burn could be for you, it could be high blood pressure. That means that you need to make some changes. It could be diabetes. That means that you need to make some changes. It could be headaches. It could be numbness and tingling going down your arm that you keep taking Advil or Tylenol or ibuprofen. That means you need to make some changes. Do you follow me?
Yes, sir.
And so when we look at these different things right here, we got to pay attention to this, the solution. Number one is we need to get our bodies checked. You go get blood work, you go get all these other things. Why not have your spine checked? You go to the dentist, it gets your teeth clean, because you can see that, right? But you can't see cavities. When you look at that spine and you got degeneration in there, you got to get a hold of it before it gets too late. If it gets too late, the entire spine is going to get weak and it's going to collapse. And when it collapses, you're in trouble. And so one of the things that we got to do is we got to get adjusted. So if you're standing like this, to correct that improper posture, to strengthen it, to hold that. If that head is going forward, you got to bring the head up. And we got to learn natural ways to reduce stress. And we got to put the right things in our bodies. So, what do you choose? Right? So say a donut. What's the consequence of that donut? Everything I said. So a spike in blood sugar, all these different things. Now, if we go to Old Fashioned or Dunkin' Donuts and we get a whole box of them, we're going to probably end up with some issues. And some of y'all are on the borderline with that stuff right now. The consequence, you choose the apple or the thing. Now we got another choice. You can choose the couch or the stairs. Which one is that one? Huh? Now the consequences is what? The consequence, this person's going to feel better. This person right here is going to continue to go backwards and they're going to die. Now, what's the consequences right here? You can take the prescription drugs, get surgeries, or you can have your spine adjusted and get active and start moving. The consequences of your decisions. Because guess what, guys? Life is not a game. Health is not a game. It's not always that. We all know those different things. So we got to choose life or death.
Wow.
Very, very powerful. Kids are the ultimate sign of vitality. This is where we're going back to, but this is where we're going. The decisions you do today are going to move you in one of those two directions. So going over here, this is not a feel-good talk. This is a reality talk. I wanted to have a little gut check. I want to have some transformation going on here. And so what I'm offering to do for that right there is today we offer a phenomenal fitness wellness exam. And what that is that what it is not is you go over here and you actually get a piece of paper and you fill it out and you come in a doctor and you get a diagnosis. What it is actually we're going to actually sit down. We're going to ask you questions not only about any issues that you're having, about your overall health. Then we're going to check your posture. Then we're going to do a palpation exam. We're also going to set you up with a 15-minute consultation with a nutritionist. Then we're going to do a 10-minute chair massage. And then we're going to throw in one x-ray so we can actually see what level of degeneration you might be in. Now, I got in a car accident and went to the hospital. I went to the hospital and got an exam, right? Edwards Hospital. What was my bill? I didn't take one x-ray. The doctor didn't even touch me. He just asked me questions and gave me a prescription for muscle relaxers, which I didn't take. On the record, by the way. So what happens is that bill was over $1,000 for just one exam. I'm doing it today for $45. The stuff that I'm talking to you about also is in my book called Overlooked. There's 7 core values that we overlook, and those different things that's happening. And you want to go in more detail about that, you have to purchase the book. But the other thing we got to look at those things right here is that when you see, I went to Uganda last summer, by the way. So the one thing you get to see is you see different animals and different things that happen like that. But it reminds me of a story, and you're talking about these mama zebra just had these zebras. And they're sitting around and they're laying on the mama and they're eating the grass and grazing in the sand. They're just grazing, having a good time, right? And so what mama says, get up and run, children. Get up and walk. And the babies are like, nah, mama, we just in the sun, we're eating, and we just want to lay under you. It's so comfortable. We don't have to do that much. It's so comfortable for us to stay right here with you. And then the mama said, get up and run. And the children looked back at me and said, Mama, why? She said, because the lion is coming. And guess what that lion is? It could be cancer. It could be diabetes. It could be high blood pressure. It could be all these things. Whether you a zebra or a lion. I'm pretty sure a lot of lions in here. You better get to running. You better get to running, because what happens, this is not a game that we can afford to sit around anymore and be ignorant to the fact that we need to make some changes. So I want to thank you. I hope you want to listen. What we got over here going today is a very special opportunity. We also have, I'm going to check your posture and answer any more questions. T's going to set up appointments. We also have blood sugar. We got blood pressure, weight, and then we also have a chair massage. About the whole team. So you see these familiar faces. You will see us again. These are the lovely people that's going to help take care of you. These are licensed nutritionists, licensed massage therapists, licensed chiropractor. We got a guy that just lost 60-some pounds here. If you need help in that heart, and we got a lady to keep us all in mind. So if you want to find out more information about that, come on over here and we're going to put on a mini health fair for you guys. How about that? Thank you.